Glad we're here. Let's begin. So this first portion is we're connecting with our breath. I'm going to establish a comfortable seat. And we'll start by just feeling or releasing the diaphragm up into exhalation. So let me say that again and just clarify. Not pressing, not squeezing. It's really not an action, but a release of action. For the visual among us, the diaphragm goes up on exhalation. It can go up almost mid-sternum. And we'll stay with this really rather gentle exhalation. And just notice how the tongue is situated in your mouth. You can feel if it's resting on the floor of your mouth or if it's arching up somewhere. And then the lips. You can feel your two lips contacting each other. You can feel the lips pressing, or you can feel the lips are almost magnetically attracted. They're drawn together. And just feel what that does to the cheek and the jaw, if that's a softer carriage around the mouth. Softening the belly. And my encouragement through our practice today, just this elegant release. A release that requires no push, no squeeze. A release that comes from the gesture of something's done being connected. Something is complete. Release. All right. So we'll set up with our left leg crossed over our right, half lotus. That's possible. I'll also have my strap nearby just in case I want to use it later. And if not half lotus, then we always have cross-legged. And inhaling, feel the sit bones, the breath, the pelvic floor most magnetically descend, attracted to the ground. Feel there's no effort. I'm just playing with words so you can get the sense of really like non-doing. It's an action of not acting. Exhaling, we'll turn to our left. Again, feeling the tongue muscle and something as simple as a turn. Can you feel the tongue muscle where it is in your mouth? Is it relaxing toward the floor of your mouth? Is it pressing or arching somewhere else? And while we'll do most of our breath nostril breathing today, I just want you to feel this. It's a very just gentle transition. Just do an exhale where the mouth can be open and we're making that whispering sound. So this is a vocal cord act. Ujjayi breath is speech. So when we work with Ujjayi breath, we're working with our vocal diaphragm. And then open mouth to magnetically attracted, lips closed. Right out the nose. Let this help give you some indication what a gentle breath Ujjayi can be. Inhaling, unwind. Straighten the bottom leg. This left leg will remain bent. It can remain bent in half lotus or bent left foot on ground. Your selection. Forward fold. Inhale. Reaching with the arms. Leading with the lungs and the heart. Exhale. There's all this deep internal support happening deeply along the interior of the spine. So I'm folding with that support, Now, in theory, I could just hang out in a fold and never put my hands down. That's the kind of support I'm, at least at first, working with. In fact, you can play with just leaving your hands up. That'd be kind of funny and awesome. I'm going to set my hands down, but I'm not going to take the rest. I'm not going to just droop over. I'm going to just keep with that lengthening support. There's something kind of self-regulating about this form of fold. So I can only go into the fold so long as I'm supported, which means I can't pull myself or pull my muscles, harder. And then feel for these next 1 or 2 breaths, the back of the neck soften. And how exhale is a release. A release that happens to utilize some vocal structure on that whispering exit. And inhale, come up. And we'll switch. Carefully. Okay. So we've got right over left this time. Now let's have some fun with these diaphragms. So, inhaling, you feel that effortless sit bone connection with earth, almost magnetic, like the earth is kind of drawing my breath, my pelvic floor, my sit bones, my tailbone right in, not a force, just like. And then exhaling, turning to the right. Yeah, and I'm just using a strap to keep it rather mild twist just yet. Okay, now let's feel both the front and the back of the neck. So we can get a sense of where the whisper sound is coming from. And let me add a point of clarification. To truly find that whispering area, open the mouth for a moment and do whisper out. The reason, there's something I've noticed over some time, is as soon as we start to generate that ujjayi sound, there's ways of involving and tensioning other structures to create the sound. But by making it out the mouth, we can't push and tense around the palate, and so it'll just help you get a sense of a very soft ujjayi without additive tension in the neck structure. Since we're doing ujjayi breath so much in yoga, I just want to make sure that we're not creating a pattern of tensing around the root of the tongue, the vocal diaphragm. There you go. So now you can start to feel if the front side and the back side of your neck are supported. Are they lengthy? Do they feel open? Where's the tongue as you're making this new ujjayi sound? Maybe it's new. I'm still releasing that thoracic diaphragm up. So letting that diaphragm move up. Okay. When we release, slight unwind, straightening the bottom leg, the left leg. Inhale, lungs lead, heart lead. Exhale, folding. I'm folding without the hands. In fact, I'm taking a few breaths to fold. And you're welcome to remain in folding without putting the hands down, just to feel where that support is coming from, or how you support yourself here. And then, of course, we can just set the hands down, but that doesn't mean we let that deep internal support go. And I'm going to ask you to feel two areas simultaneously. Your breathing diaphragm, or the thoracic diaphragm. So just feeling underneath your heart and your lungs. And the vocal diaphragm, the place where that whisper, that ujjayi whisper can be felt. Last breath or two in this fold. Soften around the base of the neck. You don't have to drop the head, but you can soften right where the spine meets the bottom of the skull. Good. Inhale, let's come up. Before we go any further, let's establish a seat that you like, where your spine is vertical. I'm going to choose Dandasana, so my knees can be straightened. Okay. And so here's our thoracic diaphragm right here, the solar plexus, right? Our vocal cords, right about in here. And again, can you feel if that release of exhale has any connection, any resonance, any relationship to what you're feel sounding with the vocals, the vocal diaphragm, the vocal structure, or ujjayi breath? It's just a consideration. You may feel something, you may not feel something, but Dandasana. Legs straight, straight out in front, and let's place our palms right beside our hips. Okay. So I'm not pressing my weight off the ground. I'm not picking my butt up. But as I straighten my elbows, my shoulders start to move down away from my neck. As my arms lengthen, my shoulders move down. My trunk lengthens. I'm getting a subtle traction through the spine. And now here, keeping the arms really quite strong, feel for relaxing the sit bones into the earth. So you may feel that thoracic, that lung diaphragm a little differently. Now we're starting to add some more musculature. And I'm pushing the shoulders away from the neck. Can you still feel and hear that ujjayi as a whisper, or does it start to sound strained? I'm engaging the legs, the quadriceps, feet active. And then release. This vocal structure and the pelvic floor deeply and richly connected. So we'll try to play with that over the next hour, the next week, the next year. Let's set up for dolphin. When I set up dolphin, I'm moving the shoulders away from my neck, just as I had a moment ago. Now, before we move, I just want to point out that it's usually right about here as we're moving into dolphin where there's the potential for some grunt. So there's a potential. I'm not saying you'll do it, but so listening to your exhalation, feeling that lift, that releasing up of the diaphragm as you press into dolphin. Let's feel what that's like. And it's okay if something else happened. It's something else usually does happen. Right. So with all of this stuff, it's not a right, it's not a wrong. right? I'm not going to get involved in those moral judgments, not in yoga, but these are just different presentations, different approaches, so that you can learn what it is you do in your body. Because once we know what we're doing in our body, then we have choice. Right? If I don't know what I'm doing in my body, and I'm trying to do something, that's not a true choice. Awareness gives us choice. Now, while we're up, kind of upside down, this is a slight inversion here. As you're allowing that thoracic, your lung, diaphragm to release up, can you start to employ a gentle kind of Uddiyana belly moving in? But now, listen very carefully. Feel very carefully between the gut and the lungs. They're working in synchrony, or maybe they are. Notice if the gut is trying to punch the lungs like, come on, exhale faster. Notice and feel if that Uddiyana technique is rushing the lungs, or is it more like a wagon? It kind of follows with the release of the lung diaphragm. Just feel if there's any resonance, any relationship between that Uddiyana move and I'm releasing the breath, the diaphragm up. So I can still release the diaphragm up to exhale. There we go. I have to be a little gentler with that Uddiyana move, that, you know, how we exhale, drawing the belly in. Doesn't have to be forceful. And then gently set the knees down. Right? And so if I use my hands as a model, if this works, if this is it's getting bright in here. So if this is my exhalation, and this is my Uddiyana. Uddiyana is a bandha. It's a way of motioning, a way of, you know, for our purposes, it's a lot of low belly movement. Right. So there can be this relationship between that low belly pulling in and that exhale diaphragm lifting up. Okay. So we're going to take a moment to find wall for shower at the wall. And let me remind you, right? The easiest downward dog I know, it's right here. So I'm standing about 3 feet from the wall. There you go. The arms The hands are shoulder width apart. Anywhere you like. Hinge back. The distance I am from the wall is helping me create the subtlest degree of traction. Traction meaning the gentlest encouragement toward lengthening or feeling more space. Now feel for relaxing between the sit bones. So we don't have to duck our tailbone down. And I'll ask us to start to use the belly, the low belly. Let it start to participate in the exhalation. We're just introducing the low belly into our exhalation now. But I suspect there may be a little bit of a habitual overlay that starts to kick in here, and it wants to really rev the breath out of the body. Can you feel how the low belly can be part of that gentle release of breath, the release of the diaphragm up? Yeah. And again, these are just places to play with it. The abdomen gets to hang down. So just soften the belly on that inhalation. Listening to that ujjayi sound. Which can still be very gentle. Is there a relationship between how the belly is participating in exhalation and how that diaphragm releasing up moves the air across that vocal diaphragm area? Can you feel how that breath moves right over that whispering area? Step forward to exit. So this is frustratingly gentle, great. When you come back to your mat, now we'll do some of those abdominals. But wait, my belly, everything's so gentle. How could we do that? Well, we're going to do these abdominals, maybe. In a new way, we'll find out. Okay? So we'll start with the feet off the ground. If you need it to be gentler, you can place your feet on wall. It's another really nice work. If you need it gentler still, you can leave the head on the ground. There's lots of ways to minimize effort so that we can feel these connections in the body. Inhaling, the back side of body lengthens. As a result of that lengthening, my head lifts off the ground. Well, the tailbone. Can I feel the tailbone? Can I move the tailbone? Exhaling, reach the left leg out. So now here, I want you to hear and feel that the low belly moves down and in. And is there a hardening around the chest wall? If there's a hardening around the chest wall, you may hear it in your vocal, in your ujjayi sound. Inhale, bend left knee. Curl tailbone, exhale, right leg out reaches. And then draw the belly down. Inhale, bend the right knee. Curl tailbone. Letting that breath release out. Lengthen the left leg. The low belly is just following behind the release of the breath over the vocal apparatus. Draw the low belly down. So continue on. You don't even have to count anything. Continue in a way that leaves no signs of strain in the chest wall or in the ujjayi sound. Yeah. Sometimes when we do these, what I hear and feel and notice, exactly, yeah, right, is this kind of high volume, high octane breath, and then it feels like a ton of compressive tension around the heart. And then it feels like a throttling of the ujjayi, the vocal diaphragm area, which is cool if you're a race car or performance vehicle like that. But we are not an automobile. Good. Just finish up the side that you're on, and let's do 2 more per side. I'm adding no pressure around the heart to do these. When I feel that pressure, that compressive force around the front of the heart, and the back of the heart, really, like in and on the heart, it usually comes with a forceful or an abrupt shift in the breathing. But that's my perception. So you'll have to find out how that goes in your body. Yeah. Cool, let's bring in a little roll. Because now that we're doing these abdominals like this, I feel like we could do abdominals all day. It sounds really, really peaceful on this side of the screen. All right. So roll or block, whatever your favorite prop is to hold between the legs. And reach both legs toward the sky. So I'm going to make the suggestion that as we're adding more and more efforts, muscular efforts, that we don't have to crush our heart with tension, and we don't have to cinch down and put a tourniquet on our vocal diaphragm. Let's find out how we do this. Inhale into the low back. Apply a workable squeeze to the roll. Notice I said apply a workable squeeze. So we'll do several. This need not be maximal. Curl tailbone. Exhale, lengthens the backside, the head lifts, the breath releases, the belly's following the breath. Drawing the low belly down at the last moment. And then as you release the belly, let that inhale just wash in. Hold that for a moment. Apply a workable squeeze. Exhale. As you exhale, backside lengthens. Resultantly, the head lifts, the shoulder blades lift. The belly is following that diaphragm, following the breath out. Draw the low belly down without squeezing the heart. Inhale, head to ground. These are cool. Let's do 4 more on our own. So now maybe just for a moment, we can start to feel the vocal diaphragm at the same time as we're pulling that belly down and feeling that pelvic diaphragm, the pelvic floor. These are really interesting moves when we start to put sound with them. We may not do that today, but if you're inclined to sound where you are, there need not be any strained sounds as you're doing these. It was one of the unexpected kind of training effects that I got to play with this year in teaching and doing so much together. It's really a neat practice to do abdominals and talk. Yes, yes. And when you're done, you are done. Nice. Let's turn over and stand up. So that's all well and good when we're lying on the ground. Dot, dot, dot. Let's do it upside down. So we'll work downward dog at the wall. And yes, you are welcome to do handstand, but I'm going to talk us through downward dog at the wall. Feel free to just move anywhere. The room is yours. Okay. So once you've got your wall area staked out, we'll take a few moments in downward dog, just downward dog itself, and then we'll step up together. I'll guide us through the whole thing. So you're at the wall and we're pressed. We've exhaled, gently exhaled into downward dog. Now let's take a moment to remember these exquisite arm lines. If we've worked together this week, we have done some things with the arms. The inner arm embraces or compresses that space between them. So imagine this, the air between your arms is compressible. Compress it. Now, without moving the hands, you can also pull the arms apart. We did lots of things together as if we had our arms lassoed, pulled apart against these restraints. And that should get the arms working really, really awesomely. Now, with that release of your diaphragm, when you exhale, let the diaphragm go in the direction of the head. And then feel that belly, that low belly, just riding on the coattails of that diaphragm. It's just this subtle other. There we go. Now, when you're ready, and please, if this is the challenging move for you to do today, downward dog, that's great. Then keep working downward dog. We'll step 1 foot hip height. And the big move is moving on exhale, isn't it? Get ready. Elegantly exhale, stepping the other foot up. Releasing the diaphragm toward the head. I'm getting a gravity assist here. But now legs, can you pick the pelvis up away from that diaphragm? There you go. It's right there. There's some kind of. Just let it keep. There you go. Just 1 or 2 more breaths. If you haven't stepped down already, that's fine. Just we're finishing up. And when you are complete, step down. And from downward dog, we'll arrive at either standing or resting. I hope that felt different. Okay. Again, if we create just little bits of change, it's not like, oh, I finally got it right. It's more like, oh, I felt something different. And now I have some choices about how I want to pursue doing that. So we can move away from the wall where that is complete, and to wherever your working spot is. We'll stand at the top of our mat. And we should do this with a block or a roll. So whatever your preferred hands can be placed on the hips. Oh, I should say the roll or the block is between your legs. So as the hands press, I'm issuing a downward pressure. I get to feel the tail, the coccyx, the very tip of my tailbone releasing downward. Now I'm saying releasing downward very specifically. It's in counterpoint to using your butt musculature to drive the tailbone anywhere. So I'm really doing this without applying a lot of butt force. Now, as you start to feel the tailbone descend, and feel the lips just magnetically attracted. Hear the sound of your ujjayi. And as you're pressing down, feel where through your core, your spine, you can offer this gesture of release. And we'll be here about 4 or 5 breaths. Giving us plenty of time to feel the breath descend. Into the pelvis. Exactly. That softness of the heart can be maintained even though the hands and the shoulders are working. That's good. Whoever caught that heart move, that's really cool. Let's keep freeing up underneath the brain as we're pressing and releasing the tailbone down. Just feel if the underbrain is softly releasing up. I feel that again, this is my perception, my ability to feel the head and the brain as buoyant relies on the feeling of my feet being gravity drawn into the earth. Yeah. That's when my brain really unsticks. Yeah, release. So we can let that prop go, still standing at the top of mat. Oh, neat. Inhale the arms up, leading with the lungs, the feet sinking into the earth. Exhale, fold. Inhale, step left foot back, lunge. I'm even using my arms, my palms, compressing that air right between them. Hands to ground, exhale. Step right foot back, lower plank to ground. Set the hands forward, Cobra. Exhaling, lower, hands under chest, downward dog. Inhale, left foot forward, lunge. Hands to ground. Exhale, right foot forward, fold. As I'm folding, gravity just kind of assists my diaphragm, my lung diaphragm toward my head. Inhale, stand, reach with the arms up. Feel the earth just grabbing onto the mass of your feet. So you don't have to push the earth. You don't have to stab the earth with your effort. That's just kind of neat. Exhaling, hands to heart. We'll do another. So yeah, I'm just feeling the gravity just have the mass of my feet. Inhale, reach up, reach up. Exhale, fold. Inhale, right foot back, lunge. Hands to ground. Exhale, left foot back. Lower. Setting up for Cobra. Inhale as the diaphragm descends. Maybe you feel that breath in your abdomen, in the ground. As you lead with the lungs. Untensing the heart, right? Exhale, lower, downward dog. Now let's give this sweet, sweet pose, downward dog, a few extra breath moments because it's so worthy of it. It's an interesting place. We've got our torso pitched in a way that's quite different from gravity. So we have all sorts of gravity assist for things like exhale, for things like that slight low belly motion that rides on the coattails of the diaphragm being released up toward the sternum. And you can just keep picturing it and imagining it until the feeling of the diaphragm moving starts to register for you. Right? You feel the outer arms and the inner arms working. When I apply the inner arms, my bones rotate in their sockets, and you'll feel those beginnings of wrapping the shoulders. And all those legs, all that leg horsepower draws the sit bones away from the diaphragm. So the diaphragm's releasing toward your head on exhale, and the sit bones are reaching away from your head on exhale. Let's give it one more breath. So there might be a lot going on in a little downward dog. Inhale the right foot forward, lunge. Exhaling, hands to ground, left foot forward, fold. Inhale, stand as we reach with the arms. Feel the sedimenting of feet and leg bones toward the earth. Exhaling, hands to heart. And we're just going to add little drips of extra. Inhale, reach up. Compressing that air between your palms and your inner arms. Exhale, fold. If your hands touch the ground, you can line up the fingertips with the toes, and you can start to palm the ground and work your arm lines on the ground. There's really some magnificent things we can get into in upper back here. Inhale, step the left foot back. Lunge. Now, I've got my hands up. Feel free to set your hands on whatever surface you need. Exhaling, let gravity have a little bit more of my foot and my leg. My left knee comes up, arrow lunge. Okay, now this is a move you can practice several times. I'm moving on exhale, I'm moving on an unstrained exhale. And something you might want to just play with is, what did I do in my vocal area, my ujjayi area, when I pressed up? When I pressed down. Yeah. I'm pressing down away from my ujjayi area. And sometimes I'll let one exhale just go out my mouth as a whisper, just so I can remember how soft my lips can be and how soft that palatal and tongue area can be. Gently set that knee down. Inhale, hands to ground. Nice. Exhale, step back, and we'll lower all the way down. Cobra. Inhaling. Exhale, downward dog. Now let's give downward dog a few extra breath moments. So some of the things that get assisted here is the release of the head and the neck. Right? Some of the things that get released here, you can feel for a less effortful exhalation. Feel how your exhale treats your heart and your lungs. You can feel the passing of breath right through the heart and the lungs on its way to this expressional diaphragm. Does each breath, can it be felt in the lungs and the heart? Before you feel it in that whisper, as a whisper. Remember, our ujjayi breath is a form of speech. Lunge. Inhale, left foot forward. And give this a little extra consideration. I'm pressing my legs away from my vocal diaphragm, my ujjayi. Can you hear, is there strain or change in your ujjayi sound as you press that right knee down? And you can do that several times if you need to. It's an experiment. So I notice lips, I'm noticing some lip things. So maybe our ujjayi sounds the same, but we twist our lips up and do like a pursing. It's not wrong. And gently set that knee down. Inhale, hands to ground. Exhaling the right foot forward, folding. Inhale, stand, drawing the arms up, releasing the tailbone down. Exhaling, hands to heart. So I want to describe and show this move, forward fold. I was describing it as an option if you had your hands on the ground, right? So it's really nice when our folds can be passive. I agree, that feels nice. But here's another option for us. So yeah, we can just kind of, willow tree and just, like so. But let's say our hands don't quite get to the ground. That's fine. I've got some blocks. First, I move my hands as close to my feet as possible. I get my palms moving toward the blocks or the earth. Okay? And eventually, I'm moving my fingertips in line with my toes. Now, as I keep moving my hands back, there's something that goes on across the tops of the shoulder blades. And I'm going to work my arm lines here, okay? So we'll be folding for a moment. It's an active fold for the arms at the very least. Decide how you want to use blocks. And as you fold, so yeah, go ahead and get right into the fold. I'm watching with us. Yeah, I'm just softening the neck, Marissa. That'll be nice. Yeah. Okay. As I'm reaching the palms toward the earth or toward the block. I'm connecting to breath. Now, if you have your palms all the way on the ground, line up your fingertips with your toes. So that means you're taking your hands beside your feet. So that might be for you, Joy. There you go. Yes. Ha, ha, ha. There you go. And now the palms may not touch, and that's fine. You could move them to where they do touch. And now embrace, like you're compressing the air between your arms. Okay? And now pull the arms apart, but without moving them. So the outer arms and the inner arms get really active. And if you want to gently pick up your eyes so that you're viewing either your navel or right between your knees, that can actually be a nicer scenario for the neck. So sometimes relaxed neck is awesome. Sometimes picking up those eyeballs a little bit between the legs is better. Now feeling the upper lobes of your lungs. So this is that top border of the shoulder blade. We'll just give it like one or two more breaths. Just squeezing. This is all that. Yeah, there it is. Squeezing. Pressing, but the other one too also. The inner squeeze. Squeezy. And bend knees. Inhale, stand up. All right, you can bend the knees if you need that extra assist. Okay. So just that to say, our folds can be quite active if you like them to be. And I think what that hand position offers is a little extra moment to regard the top and the back lobes of those lungs. Inhale, let's reach the arms up. Exhale, fold. You can do this passively, where you just kind of give into gravity, or using the hands, pressing them down to the earth. Inhale, step the left foot back, lunge. Pressing down through that top of left foot. Arrow lunge. This is completely optional. Sometimes what I'll do is I'll just leave my shin and my knee just hovering the earth, and then I'll just feel for how much lift and buoyancy I can feel, and I have that wonderful metric of, or that feedback of the ground. So I know I'm not lifting out of my lunge. Good. Inhale, release. Set the hands down. Blocks are optional for pyramid. Step the left knee off the ground, left foot forward. So right about in here is maybe where some of the tongue and the throat start to get a little bit like, I'm exaggerating a little bit just so you can hear it, but you can feel your throat, you can feel the sound of Ujjayi. And so you can actually hear the expression of your breath, your body, your conscious, your unconscious at every moment in this practice. Isn't that amazing? I can hear my every breath being vocalized, Ujjayi-ized, just vocalized. Every moment. Vertical splits, we're going there. Now slide the hands forward, out in front of the right foot, as you raise the left leg. Now, if your hands are on the ground, as we kind of described and did before, you could walk them back. Fingertips line up with the toes. You're pressing very strongly with the arm lines. But for most of us, just getting the hands out in front is a nicer way to balance and work this. Inhale, set that left foot down. Exhale, step the right foot back, and we'll lower through plank to ground. I'm going to take a very low Cobra. So by low, I mean very minor curvage. Bring the hands way out in front of your shoulders, like 1.5 feet. Inhale, feel the abdomen move into the earth. The breath kind of lifts and supports the spine. And then using the hands, just draw the lungs forward, more forward than up. Exhaling, lower, downward dog. So we have 3 poses on this other side. Lunge, inhale, left foot forward. Okay. Now exhaling, feel the lips, the vocal cord, it's kind of weird we call it a cord. It's a diaphragm. It's not really a string. Okay. So I'm just a hair's width from the ground. And why I'm doing that, again, my preference today, is so that I can feel that lift and my relationship to the ground. So I can feel the lift knowing I'm not lifting out of my lunge. And I'm only applying the degree of work that it feels unstrained around the heart and around the vocal. Feel those neck muscles. I know this is one place where working really hard may not get us the same recognition as elsewhere. There we go. And gently, we'll set that down. Here's our pyramid. Back the weight up. Inhale, hands to ground. We'll press the right knee off the ground. Step that right foot forward. And vertical splits. So at least initially I do like to move my hands forward, out in front of the left foot. And then if you love, you can always trace the hands back. Greatly narrows your foundation. And I'm not sure if I mentioned this on the other side, but if you want to take the hands into prayer position, that is also an option. And inhale, set the right foot down, step the left foot back, downward dog. And gently set the knees down. You get a teeny little rest moment here. We're going to play around with some flash prep. Flash prep, flashing arrow. So let me show you where we're going and how I like to use a block. And then you can decide if you want to just can everything I said and freestyle it. Okay. So the wrap of the shoulder that I'm compressing, the world right in between my arms, really helpful. First, I set up one arm like dolphin and one arm like elbow off the ground. Notice this block is behind my palm. And that's for my foot, at least initially. So as a stage 1 move, I would be here, forearm down, elbow up, and I might just raise the left leg. So this is an option 1. That's a great option 1. I might take that one. Option 2 is stepping. Now I've got a little footstool. Now this is where I hang out. Option 2, right here. Option 3. Option 4 would be doing it without the block, but let's just take it through the first 3 and we'll find out where we want to pause and explore. So block. All right. Let's start with the left forearm down and the right palm down. This renders my right forearm vertical. Yeah. There you go. Now, can you put that block right behind where you see your palm to be? Just have it ready. Good. When you're ready, exhale the knees off the ground. So let's pause right here, because this is a rich place. This is a rich place where we can be squeezing and working the inner arm lines. Okay, if something feels a little narrow or twingy in the shoulders, this is a good time to adjust that so nothing feels twingy, nothing feels painful. So you can remain right here. Another possible option is taking that left leg up for a ride. That's it, Tara, that's it. And I'm pressing. I still press with those arms. Oh boy, do I press. Now, if you want to go into block territory, you'll have to set the left foot down momentarily so that you can step your right foot onto the block, which also steps your right shin onto your right arm, right by the armpit. So my shin, right shin, I'll show you, is on my arm. Okay. Now you may want to remain right here. And then of course some of you will want to pick the left foot up as well. And then we'll carefully release. We'll set the knees down, take a little rest. We're going to do the other side. All right, flashing arrow. Lots of places to play. So this time we've got the right forearm down and the left palm down. This one we'll just do all together, unless you need to see something. Exhale the knees off the ground. So this is a first hangout spot. Okay, option 2 is raising right leg. And as you're raising and reaching through the right leg, lift and reach and use that left leg, pulling that left sit bone away from the left lung. Okay. If you want to play a little differently, you have to set the right foot down to step the left foot atop the block. This is a play place. So what does breath feel like and sound like here? I know we may not think that the sound of our voice matters in the doing of the pose, but it really does. It really does. It's communicating to us, hey, I'm under stress, I'm under load, this is yikes, or this is, I feel elegant, I feel incredible, I feel capable. We'll hear all of this riding in that ujjayi. All right, and then whatever version you're working on will start to release down and out of that. When you move the blocks off to the side, we'll press back, downward dog. Okay. So if you want to practice jumping into crow, you can do so here. And the other option is just jumping the feet forward. And we can do this setting up blocks. I'll show you with the blocks. Okay. I like to use the blocks. I perch up on them. I palm the ground. And I'm using all of that palming the ground from our fold. Right? So this is really the same kind of palming the ground actively technique that we did in that fold. I'm pushing, I'm tweezing the ground and the air with my inner arms. Okay. So Bakasana, there you go. And just for reference, I will show you the fold in just one moment. I'll show you the fold from which I'm. Right. So when I had my fingertips by my toes, that active arm engagement that gets me into the tops of my shoulder blades, that's the quality of press and arm lines that I'm playing with in Bakasana. Sure, my elbows are bent in Bakasana, but this is really where I'm feeling myself go. There you go. In fact, it's a really nice way to go into Bakasana. Okay. All right, release all of your crow play. Let's have a seat for a moment. Yeah, it's that exact, that's it. To me, it's a different approach when I feel crow as a fold than feeling it as a squatty pancake thing. So let's visit shoelace. Doesn't matter which side. We'll do them both. If shoelace doesn't feel great on your knees, you can do a revisit of Dandasana. Remember the legs straight out in front. Just like Dandasana, palms right beside the hips. Pressing the palms down. Feeling the sit bones just gravitationally, magnetically attracted to earth. Letting the shoulders slide down. That's away from the neck. And I begin the fold. I'm going to leave my palms right beside my hips. So I'm enacting that fold. There is a little crease in the wrists. You can always relieve that. But I'm folding in full support of my own spine. So again, I'm just not draping forward. You can always release the hands if the fold starts to bend and fold the wrists too much. Then I would just turn my fingers toward the back of the room. And inhale, come upright. We'll switch sides. Last side, last thing, right on time there. So if I go palms to ground, and again, I'm not slouching just to get my palms to the ground. I don't care if my palms are on the ground. But I'm pushing down, straightening the arms, moving the shoulders away from my vocal diaphragm. So I can feel what it is I'm doing around my neck. I can feel. And folding. I just want to show you, if you have the eyeball resources, I'm folding like this instead of passively. Because it's from here, I have the ability to move. Right, so I'm moving into this with a support, And that support is predicated on my pelvic floor, my tailbone, but I'm not, right? So my hands are beside me so I can feel just how far does my support take me? Not just my flexibility, but my support. It might be 1 inch. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So it can be a really hands-free event, right? And then inhale, come on up, unwind. We need to do a shavasana. All the sun in here has blinded me from the clock, but it is time. Now, if you were using any degree of Ujjayi technique, now is a wonderful time to relax even that little bit of technique. So, we're starting to just feel these relationships. These relationships between the pelvis and the lung diaphragm. Between the lung and the vocal diaphragm. And whenever you're ready, we'll bend knees. Turn to a side. Use both hands so that when you press up, You can press up freely. Namaste. All right. Thank you.